world that we live in, where the Minnesota Vikings are going to trade J.J. McCarthy for a top 10, top 5 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. I mean, it's not a deep quarterback class. It's not a deep class. I think Shador and who else? Who are you taking? You taking Cam Ward? Oh, Colin, brother, we haven't talked. Hang on. We haven't talked, okay? That Cam Ward stuff was Bush League. Absolute Bush League. Why play? Why the hell do you play the game?
Well, he wanted that record. He wanted the FBS
touchdown
record.
You've been in college for 6 years. You're going to take a victory lap over a stupid record like that? That was just, dude, I wouldn't touch him. Colin, I wouldn't touch him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow a gasket
I don't
there.
agree. That record is not stupid, but I agree with the point of view of only playing a half to get that record.
And you played 6 years. This is your 6th year of college football. We're really
taking... The game doesn't matter, don't play. If the game doesn't matter, don't play.
Colin, I would not touch Cam Ward with a 10-foot pole. Back to J.J. McCarthy. With all that said, with Shador and Cam being like the only 2 quarterback prospects out there, if there are other quarterback-hungry teams, they're going to get desperate. Colin, we've learned one thing. These teams are very, very desperate for quarterback play. Look no further than the Browns. Look no further than the New York Giants. Look no further than the Raiders. Now, you think the Raiders or the Giants, one of those teams, are probably going to end up with Shador. But the team that doesn't, if they don't like Cam Ward, all of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy is a good piece that the Minnesota Vikings can move on from. And I think a lot of this has to do with what the Vikings do in the playoffs. If the Vikings have success with Sam Darnold and win a game in the playoffs and maybe go on a run and maybe darn near, dare I say, a Super Bowl, I don't see how you could keep J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. So
I'm already at that point. I feel like he's putting up MVP-level numbers.
Right,
and MVP-level impact.
And Colin, remember last year was the year of the backup quarterback. This year's like the year of the former first-round picks. It's the resurgence year. It's a good word, buddy. The resurgence year with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. And those guys are playing at a high level. But, yeah, that's my quote-unquote conspiracy theory is not swindling, but that's the wrong word. I apologize. But, nonetheless, getting a team to give you a top 5, top 10 draft pick if you're the Minnesota Vikings, and then you could use that pick to improve your current roster that's already a playoff roster. And, like we said, got to wait and see what they do in the playoffs, but won a playoff game.
Yeah, you can speculate all you want about the package they would get, but I completely agree with the sentiment that, hey, if you're not going to get those first 2 quarterbacks off the board, and there's probably 4 or 5 quarterback-needy teams that are going to be picking in that top 10, whether they do give up a pick or, a couple second-rounders, a player here and there, whatever the package is, I definitely think that is something you consider. If the New York Giants are going to kind of fold a little bit on being the outside looking in on those top 2 quarterbacks, there's nobody else in that first round that is worth I guess the effort to go get them. J.J. McCarthy is young. He has control. Now, I don't think that the Vikings are not going to just hand him off because they got Darnold in the mix now. They're going to hold on to him because you never know. 2 quarterbacks is better than 1. And they're going to take advantage of that just because of the control that he offers as well. So they're going to have to need to get a good package. But if you're outside of the Titans and the Raiders at the moment, if you need a quarterback, pick up the phone and call. I don't know if the price might be too high, but if you need somebody to play next year and you don't want to pay the price for a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins, you
have to believe he's a franchise quarterback too. If you're going to trade a first-round pick, you have to believe that J.J. McCarthy is a franchise quarterback. And when did the Vikings take him? Do you guys remember off the top of your head? I'm shooting from the hip here.
20s? 11th or 12th.
20? Okay, you think it a little higher. Teams. Was it after Bo Nix? Regardless, Colin, I think...
Yes, it was before Bo Nix.
Okay, I think this is what's going to happen.
I want to say 11th.
This is, and it happens every year, right? Someone's going to have a great combine and shoot up the draft. I'm looking at Jalen Milroe. Maybe an Anthony Richardson situation happens there where he has a great combine and all of a sudden turns into a top 5 pick. And listen, it doesn't have to be Milroe. It could be a plethora of quarterbacks out there that could have a good combine and blast up the draft. So I think right now we say 2, but I love Mel Kiper, but wait until Mel Kiper starts doing his going through his, and I know he has been for a year now, but nonetheless getting into it and having the tape out there and then telling everyone, listen, these are the quarterbacks that are going to go high. That there are going to be a couple of quarterbacks that we go, who is this guy, that go in the first round?
Maybe, but none that are worth that top 10 pick. So if you need somebody and you need somebody now, and you don't necessarily want to do like a give it up, do it year, figure it out. Because if you're thinking New York Giants, let's just use them as an example. Joe Shane and Brian Dable do not have the leash to just go, we're going to figure it out at quarterback. This is going to be a 2-year project thing. Let's just draft the best player available. They don't have that type of leash. They need to figure out something and soon.
And especially with how that year ended, I know they finally got a victory, Kyle. I wanted to press you on this quickly. You think you have to get rid of McCarthy if you're the Vikings?
No.
I want to go, okay.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
But you think
not even
it's
a little bit.
You think Darnold, all right, then let me rephrase. You think Darnold is the answer for next year?
Yeah, I think Darnold is where they're going to go. Can anybody give me one singular reason why they shouldn't keep Darnold?
Right. And with
there's not a single reason.
But do you think the young man is going to want to play? Do you think the young man is going to go, listen, I was brought here to be the franchise quarterback. I'm not going to play next year.
What quarterback does do that? What quarterback will do that? Oh, you can demand a trade? Nobody does that. He's not doing that.
Is he all right with
get comfy?
The Jordan Love stuff? Maybe he takes the Jordan Love playbook of sitting for 3 or 4 years.
He's got the control. He has no leverage. You sit there and you get comfortable. We'll play you when we play you. It's better to have 2 quarterbacks. You never know what could happen health-wise. You'll need somebody in the back.
He's not going to force himself out a la the NBA, Kyle.
You can't do that.
That's what I was. Myles Garrett's apparently forcing himself out of.
That's a little different.
Correct. But you know what I'm saying. So I don't know if he's going to be okay to the backseat role, but you're under contract, young man.
I mean, Darnold. I'm at the point where Darnold deserves MVP votes. That if you're wondering, product of the system, he's a perfect system around him. He's got the great defense, and he's got 2 great receivers. Why didn't this happen last year? Why didn't Cousins and Josh Dobbs do this last year? Well, if they're such a good situation, why were they a mess last year and they're great now?
By the way, bud, the MVP. I'm about sick of it. I'm about to already call it phony, Fugazi. I don't care honest to God, Colin.
Yeah, it doesn't really interest me all that much.
Because before my flight, I was watching, the get ups and whatever, and they were all talking about the damn MVP again. I can't wait for it to be over. I can't. The MVP I like to look at the end of the year is the Super Bowl MVP. That's the one that matters. And you hope that if you're a Buffalo Bill fan, that Josh Allen will be that. And nonetheless, if Joe Burrow could sneak into the playoffs and vice versa, the Ravens. So I'm just so sick of hearing people scream at each other about a stupid MVP award. I'm all done with it.
Yeah, I'm a little over that.
I'm all done.
As well.
I'm over it, buddy. I'm over it.
But in terms of getting votes is just a declaration of how good you're playing. I don't care if you actually get votes or not. He's not going to win it. All I care about is that is how good Darnold has played. Show me a situation where moving on from something like that, if you want to bring up Aaron Rodgers was 40 years old. Darnold is 25.
He's nonetheless the comeback player of the year. He has to be the comeback player of the year.
Darnold is in the prime of his athletic life. He's playing the best football of his life. He's got a perfect marriage with the head coach in the offense. The guys love him. The city loves him. He's very mentally tough. Brady said that yesterday during the game. Him being thrown to the wolves with 3 different franchises was the best thing that could have happened to Darnold because it really thickened his skin. He was a USC guy playing in Southern California, unchallenged, had a great college career. He came in and they ravaged him. They took him to they killed him. Week in and week out, the Jet game where he was seeing ghosts, and then he was a backup, and then him and Baker, a disaster in Carolina. All it is a proof is a testament of a couple things. Number one, it's never too late with some of these veteran quarterbacks. And number 2, coaching matters.
Situation.
You need a perfect marriage, and coaching matters. And that is making the world of a difference for Sam Darnold and company. Good for him. Easy guy to root for. Deserves a big, fat contract. And I am completely on board with Minnesota sticking with him because there is no guarantee. Somebody's got to stink in that draft class. All of them are good. All of these players, all these quarterbacks are good. Daniels is good. Nix is good. Penix is shaping up to be pretty solid. Caleb Williams, pretty solid.
Right.
Drake May is good. Somebody's got to stink. Who is it going to be? Arrows pointing at J.J. McCarthy. Sit him on the bench. We'll play you when we're ready. All right? We're not dealing with you. Somebody's got to stink.
Josh Rosen was the one that stunk from that. What was it? Baker,
2018,
and Josh Allen.
2018.
He's getting his NBA. Dude, I saw some troll on Twitter. Like apparently he went back to school, Colin. So you got one.
Good for him.
To your point, you got one. Who's going to be it?
Maybe J.J. McCarthy's going to be selling insurance here pretty soon. But we'll see. We'll continue onward. That was Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo with you on Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Mike Rizzo mentioned the Bengals.